Now call me crazy if you want, but I am a recovering thug addict, okay? And it is very hard to stop doing something cold turkey that you've become addicted to, right? So I no longer date thugs. I'm dating squares now. So when you're talking to me, do me a favor and put a little bass in your voice. Like, be mean. Not mean for real, but mean just to please me in the moment. You get what I'm saying? Like, I need you to sound really assertive, like you mean it. Like role play a little bit. Now don't go upside my head, but say things like, let's say you tell me to do something and I don't do it as fast. Be like, what I say? Tell me to shut the up. Tell me to go sit down somewhere. Like, when you say something to me, pretend like, you feel me? Because I be having withdrawals and I be like, he's too nice. And another thing, like, I know that you like to dress nice and wear these dry fit shirts. Can you put on a black hoodie? Can you sag your pants a little bit? I know you like to smell good, but can you spray the smell of a black and mild every now and then? I just did a whiff. At least put on some gray sweats and a white tee. Some Air Maxes. Tell me you gotta bust a few moves or make a few plays. Something. These are just things that I need as a recovering thug addict. And if that is just way too much to ask, I may ask you for a hall pass to go hit a few corners with my homie. Because that is the only way I'm going to scratch that itch. Let me just call one of my homies and take a ride with him, hit a few corners, make a few plays, and then I'll be back and I'm all yours. No? And one last thing, can you turn your music up when you play it? Turn it up, turn the bass up. If not, we're going to get at least 412s, okay? Because I can't do these stock speakers anymore. I know some Migos who got a shop. I can call them up. They'll hook you up with 412s, 215s, whatever you want. Another subwoofer, a new amp, something. But the stock speakers, we got to get those out of there. We got to get them out. So I say all that to say, as a recovering thug addict, if I ask you to do any of the things that you have heard in this video, please do it, brother. Please help me. Help me scratch this itch. Going cold turkey when you have been addicted to anything can be very hard. So please, cut me a break. Stop enunciating all your words so perfectly. Just need you to look a little rough, a little rugged, like you've been trapping all day or something, like you've been busting a few moves. Go to the bank, pull out a wad. When you come home, throw that wad on the dresser, along with a lighter and possibly some other things that a thug would have in his pocket. You're going to have to get your acting skills on. Put some basil in a baggie. I beg of thee. Tie that thing up. Throw it on the dresser. Let me see it, please. Thank you.
You know what? After looking at this particular video, this I think it's a TikTok, or I don't know where it's actually filmed, but it was actually sent to me. Now it reminds me of why I don't like to date hood chicks. I really don't. That's why, when I was young, how a woman spoke the first couple of minutes told me whether I wanted to actually be with her or not. And I've made exceptions and I've regretted it. You can tell by the way she speaks in her presentation of what she is. It's that dual mating strategy I can't get with. And I always tell my guys, once a woman gets blood in her mouth, just like a dog, once a woman gets a taste of a certain kind of guy and that's what she likes, you can't mess with her because that taste never goes away. And she's being honest about the taste never going away. She likes what she likes. She's always going to like what she likes. Now, she will settle for you to get a certain outcome, but she's still going to like what she likes. Like you see the way she's scratching her arm? Like an alcoholic, even if he hasn't drank a drop for 20 years, he's still an alcoholic because that lust, that bloodlust, that lust for the alcohol, that lust for the drug is still there. Can't get rid of it. It's part of who you are. Men and women try to hide it. You try to say, I'm going to change who I am, and I'm going to change what I am. I don't care what I desire, instead of trying to make the best of who and what you are. Which some of the people in her comments were actually saying the same thing. Why don't you just find a guy that's reformed just like you are reformed, but still has the same taste that you have? He just wants a different outcome. There'll be a better way of doing things. A woman like her should leave so-called lames or square dudes alone. I mean, a chick that's been out there on the block, on the blade, stripper, or a prostitute should not be dating or marrying a square guy, because she still has the taste for that kind of life. Once you get a taste for that kind of life, that means you should stick with it. And you shouldn't be dating guys that don't have the same kind of experience that you do. The only exception I give for dating a woman like that, that's had that kind of experience, is she's been traumatized by living through that. Like if she's grown up like that, where the family was abusive and the boyfriends were abusive and that kind of stuff, to where things she will not go back and she can't even stand being around people like that, that's the only exception, but those are rare. Most women like her will find a stable guy that's a so-called square in her eyes, even though square is relative. All square means is normal. Square doesn't mean that you're lame. Square doesn't mean that you're not exciting. Square means that you don't do stuff. It means that you're normal and you want a stable life. In a way, some guys live like the scammers and the drug dealers and stuff like that. It's not a stable life. With guys like that, like the guys that she describes, they're always bordering on something happening that's to throw off your stable life. They're taking a risk. Now, some guys can find ways of doing it and incorporating their former life with their current life. As they get older, they learn how to incorporate. They learn how to incorporate their old life with their young life, but they need a woman that understands their world, which I think works fine. Dude was never a so-called square. Dudes were never a so-called thug. They never were about that life. They were never about that life. They were never about the regulated life, which is fine. Those are the dudes that get to be about 40 years old and outside watering their grass, looking over their shoulder, which I don't find any issue with. Get that kind of, if that's the kind of guy that you like, get that kind of guy, and it's fine. What I don't like is women from that side, from that class, from that ethos, that dealt with that kind of stuff. They're trying to get with a dude that doesn't come from that background, knowing that you don't want him like that. All you want is the stability that he brings, and you're not going to be happy, and you're going to make him miserable. When he comes home to you and you yapping about what you like and what you want and things that you want to do, that's going to make you happy, that's going to make him miserable. And then you have to be false. You got to put on the front and a fake face to be with him. That shit doesn't work. Like should attract like. And unfortunately, most black women believe that this is what they like. And I had no problem with it. Black women should be upfront and honest about the guys that they like. This is the kind of guy I like. I don't want this kind of guy that does this, thus, and so. And then leave the other guys alone. Stop trying to make the so-called squares, and the criminals, and the hood dudes, to where they have to go to jail and have to go through the same shit that all the other dudes go through. Most dudes, most square dudes or regular dudes do not like being stopped by the cops every other week, or being pulled over every other week, or being profiled by stores and by cops and by other kind of folks, being profiled. Because those guys that they like can only fit in a certain environment. You can't go everywhere with this guy. And you take that dude out of his environment, guess what? This dude outside of his environment cannot go anywhere. The dude that has tattoos and sags his pants and smokes blunts and that kind of stuff, he can only go so many places. He belongs on the block where he is. And he's going to be isolated. You take him out to the suburbs. 90% of the places in the United States he can't go. 90% of the places in the United States he doesn't fit. He's not going to fit. And I've been with homies that fit that mold, and they get outside of that. They get nervous. They get scared. You can see it in their faces. They're on edge because they don't fit in that environment. And what I don't like in the black community is you uphold this kind of behavior. what Clark called the Tangler pathology. This is celebrated amongst black men and black women. This is supposed to be the idealistic type of guy. This is the guy that we're supposed to portray, and we're supposed to focus on what we're supposed to be like, which I had no issue with. When you listen to your comedy, when you listen to your acting and stuff like that, that's the kind of guy that you're supposed to be. And anybody that doesn't fit that small aesthetic is supposed to be corny. And then you wonder why the black community is profiled and cops treat us the way they do. It's because you want to project this image. That's the image that you want to project. And then your women love this kind of image because let's be honest, man. Most black women are violent. And they need a violent guy. They need it's like she's saying, she needs a violent guy. She needs a guy that's going to respond to her. They need a guy that's going to match her violent energy so that she feels comfortable. Because that's the way she grew up, because her mother was probably violent and beat on her and beat on her old man. So she grew up with that kind of pattern. You can look at it. She grew up with that kind of pattern. She grew up on the block. She grew up dating hoods. She grew up running the streets with these kind of guys. That thing, I can guarantee she got out is because it got too dangerous. So you're going to run to the so-called square side and try to fit in, even though you're a dope addict. You're going to run to the clean side of people that don't do drugs, and you're a dope addict. And then you're scratching because you're fiending for the drug. Why don't you just go back to your side and face the consequences of being that kind of woman or being that dope addict? Go ahead, face the consequences. Go have a couple of babies by that dude, and then wait for him to get out of jail. Send him some care packages and stuff like that. Live that kind of life, if that's what you want. Live that kind of life where you have to worry about whether he's gonna take off the wrong person, and you might wind up in a car with some holes in it. If that's the kind of life that you want to live it. Stop coming on this side of the fence with working class guys and upper